Hey guys, welcome back. This October, Pete, my husband, and I will have been married for 32 years. And I was reflecting on that a couple days ago, and I was thinking about how in those early years, meaning like probably the first 20 years, it used to drive me crazy how we would have like an argument or we would disagree. There would be some kind of tension or dissonance. And then he would just go to bed and sleep like a baby, as if nothing had ever happened. Meanwhile, I would lay in bed and ruminate, and the anger would grow, and I would lie there for hours with wild fantasies about how I would divorce him, and then he'd be sorry, and on and on and on and on. And then the alarm would go off, and we'd get up. I will have been up all night, and he would have slept like a baby and been like, "Good morning, honey." And I would be so pissed that he didn't even see the need for resolution. And that created a lot of its own, it had a life of its own for quite a while in our marriage because I always wanted to resolve every single argument, moments of tension. I just wanted resolution, resolution, resolution. And of course I did. Of course I did. It's how we've been trained, how we've been conditioned for generations. I mean, even just for a moment, just to have some fun. If I was to say 5, 4, 3, 2, doesn't your brain automatically resolve to one? Like we have a natural need in Western culture to resolve, to go from tension to resolution, dissonance to consonance. Like we have a natural rhythm, even in Western music, is built on a model of tension and resolution. That is the model of Western music. Our life here in Western culture is to resolve. But here's what happens when it looks like that is the truth rather than what our culture has taught us. It starts to look like until you have resolution, you can't have peace. Until you have resolution, you can't have joy. And until resolution, you can't have a loving, wonderful connection with somebody. So, probably about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, Pete and I had had some words about something. It wasn't anything major, but enough to feel that internal dissonance inside me, that tension. And like always, we got in bed and he was asleep within like, I don't know, 10 seconds, sleeping like a baby. And I thought, okay, I'm on to this now. I've seen too much to buy into this urgency in this like high stakes, serious, this is important. I need resolution. I was like, okay, I'm on to it. I didn't know where to go with it, but I knew enough to not buy into the story that I need resolution in order to go to sleep. And I fell asleep very peacefully. Now, about 3 o'clock that morning, I woke up and I was filled with the most, it felt like a light almost, like the heavens had opened up and the light was pouring in. And the message, it wasn't a verbal message, but this feeling I had was peace does not rely on resolution. Resolution is not a requirement for peace. And it was so strong that I got up, got out of bed, got my iPhone. I texted myself in all caps. Resolution is not a requirement for peace. And then I put my phone down, got back in bed, and slept like a baby. What I've been playing with a lot, not only in my own life, but with clients, is really, really seeing the magic, the miracles that happen in dissonance, in the actual chaotic feeling of tension. So when it looks really compelling and true that you need to resolve an issue, resolve a conflict with someone, find an answer to a question. What I have noticed is I can just tune into the feeling of it. And if it feels super urgent and super real and super compelling, that's probably a really good indicator that for that moment, I am meant to sit still in dissonance. I am meant to just be fully present to tension. Feel it. Make space for it. Grow wider. Grow the circle wider. Grow the container wider for dissonance, for tension, for that very, very learned habitual programming of resolve this. Like in a chord, when you go, you notice in Western music, nothing ends on a minor chord. It has to resolve to a nice, smooth, gratifying major chord. But for people, for us, what if the most incredible opportunities and the most incredible expansion and growth happens in the dissonance? What if you can not have resolution with like your partner, a friend, a coworker, and actually still have a really wonderful connection? I know the mind wants to like try to figure this out and put things in boxes, and that's fine. It's just a what if, and could you play with it? And also, don't give this to your mind as like a new policy or a new thing to do. It's just something to consider and play with. I'm not saying don't resolve things but what if the natural flow is resolution in its own time? So while you are in dissonance, while you are in the tension, could you just be there and be really curious about what kind of miracles are happening before you get resolution? For me, this is just me. When I notice a really strong, urgent need for resolution in any area of my life, I know that my ego is in full tilt driver's seat mode. Like my ego is driving the bus. Egos desperately want resolution. They want answers. They want to pin things down. Who you are, who I am, this amazing space of witness and awareness. No, we just hold the space for tension and dissonance on their own to move to resolution and consonance. It happens on its own in perfect timing. But in the meantime, as we keep saying, comfort is not your North Star. Resolution is not the North Star. What if actually being fully present to and growing the space wider for tension and dissonance is where some pretty amazing stuff happens. I hope this helps, especially if you're in some kind of partnership relationship where you, like me, are the one that typically lies awake in bed waiting for the other person to realize, hey, we need to talk. Maybe they've been onto something the whole time. Anyway, I hope this helps. I love you guys. Bye.